Welcome into the locker room, the most sacred of spaces in sports. Talking you through the behind-the-scenes conversations that happen behind closed doors. With former Nebraska football tight end Chancellor Brewington.
Chancellor Brewington, the 6-year senior tight end, finding his way into the end zone.
And former South Dakota State running back and Nebraska football assistant Mikey Daniel.
Hand off to Daniel inside the 2 to the 1, and he powers his way into the end zone for a South Dakota State touchdown.
This is the locker room. Here are your hosts, Chancellor Brewington and Mikey Daniel.
We are back here on another day in the locker room on 93.7 The Ticket. Mikey Daniel is not in with us today, but we do have Chancellor Brewington ready to talk some football. Chancellor, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. You're listening to the locker room where we provide an inside look on what it's like as a player, and also just our expertise on, college football and, coaching environments and all this good stuff. Mikey Daniels is not here today, but I'm Chancellor Brewington, former Nebraska tight end. And I'm ready to get it started. And first, like I like to say, if you're not having a blessed day, bless it yourself. Bless it yourself, because there's a world of opportunities. There's a world out there that needs you and needs your gifts and talents. So let's get started. Coach Rhule had a press conference today, Thursday. He previewed some things going into Purdue. There was a lot of questions. Some of them were left tackle, the kicker, the defense. And I'll give my quick take. My last remarks on Illinois. One thing we haven't talked about on here is the performance of Gunnar Gatula. There we go. I said it right.
That's right.
Gunnar Gatula. And I think one thing that needs to be said and needs to be heard is he's a freshman that probably wasn't expecting to get thrown in that big of a moment. I mean, you get thrown in, midway through third quarter. Turner goes down. For the most part, I'll say, towards the end, you get in obvious pass situations. Didn't hold up the best. But for the most part, I it's tough. The tackle position is almost like it's a little bit like a long snapper. If you hear your left tackle, name all the time, it's because he's doing so great, right? Those left tackles, you kind of like Ben Hart the past few years, right? Kind of had some issues, this and this. We're hearing his name a lot. And then last year, didn't really hear his name a whole bunch. Ends up being an honorable big mention, great PFF grade, things like that. So this, fourth quarter drive, overtime drive, definitely let up some pressure. Not only him, I mean, center, I believe Scott missed the pressure down the middle. So it wasn't just him. There was multiple areas that needed improvement from the O-line at the end of the game. So maybe some of that's fatigue. Some of that is, the situation that the offense was put in. Making the defense, be able to send pressure and things like that. But getting into Rhule's press conference this Thursday, it's going to be a fun one. So he goes, Gunnar Gatula will play this week and he's gave good reps this week. And my initial thoughts on this is obviously he's not going to say he gave bad reps, right? Because when I hear press conferences, right, I understand how should you say it? The media training that goes behind it. So if you was to ask me a question, Bach, you ask, what did you think about the offensive performance last week? In my mind, I'm like, or the defensive performance. In my mind, I'm like, man, they played terrible. But I'm not going to say that to the media because then I get, we come on here and be like, Coach Rhule said whatever, right? So how it goes is if I want to answer that question, I'd say, well, the defense, there's a standard that defense plays to and they didn't do it, but I'm sure they'll pick it up next week, right? So that's how you kind of cover it up. But looking at this, the question is how will Gatula respond? And we'll talk about it later in the press conference. He talks about it away game. I think it's an awesome opportunity for first Dylan Rhule to go on the road. 11 a.m. kickoff. Purdue, if you've ever been to, have you been to Purdue's atmosphere?
No,
okay.
I have not.
Not the best atmosphere, right? But I will say this. it will be good for Dylan Rhule to go out there first road game, because I believe Rutgers. I don't know if is Rutgers at home or is Rutgers away. I believe Rutgers is away. So if Rutgers is away, they have a pretty nice atmosphere. Or no, Indiana's away. I have not played at Indiana. Don't know what their stadium is like, but it's not like Dylan Rhule's first road game, is at Michigan State night game, or, Penn State, a night game, or, SC night game, right? So it's a good like ease in. And I think the Purdue, and we'll talk about it, I think the Purdue game is a great game to build momentum for the defense, offense, and special teams. Next quote or next summary, we got the away games will be tricky with some of the staff, not so much players in terms of who to bring. So I'm assuming he has a pretty big staff. I've never really heard a head coach talk about who on the staff he's going to bring. But I could understand that though, because you talk about adding Brett Maher on the staff. He's been there since training camp, but away game, are you going to bring him, or are you going to bring your one of your offensive analysts, right? Are you going to bring like a scout team coach, right? Or are you going to bring one of your defensive analysts, right? So I could understand that, and it's kind of the problems you want to have, right? You want to have those type of problems where you have so many guys that add so much value on your coaching staff to the players that you're kind of like, okay, I don't really know who to bring. That's a good problem to have. He said, not Illinois, Purdue is going to be a battle. They just need to try and make one more play than the other team, than Purdue. We'll talk about it. I don't know if this game going to go down to the wire. I don't believe it's going to. I talked to Jake from Early Break. He's all tied up with he thinks it's going to be a tight game, right? I believe Coach Bush said it was going to be a bigger spread. He said it's going to be a comfy win, somewhere around 30-10, right? I'm kind of around there. I think it's going to be around 30 to about 10, or 30 to like 13, or somewhere around there. So it's interesting that he said that. I think that's kind of, what head coach is going to go out to the media and say, yeah, we're going to blow this team out, right? Yeah. It's kind of just the due diligence as a head coach and as a respect to, how the media operates. He said Kydron Jenkins from Purdue is as good as a player there is in the Big Ten. Conflicted on this statement. I'm conflicted because I have a YouTube and I break down the film, right? And then I come on here and talk about it. And one of the things I saw is last year, Kydron Jenkins, he plays linebacker now, but last year he was a defensive end. And you probably saw a lot of plays and a lot of things where he was the edge player or on the end of the line of scrimmage on the defensive line, and rushing and containing gaps and all these different things, right? But now he's playing linebacker, and he's a bigger guy. He's around, like, I would say 255, maybe even 260, real big guy. Lateral movement as far as, running sideline to sideline, in coverage, not his skill set, not where his bread and butter is. So when I look at the film, I'm like, okay, he kind of is I would say a liability at the linebacker position. So if you watch Oregon State and especially Notre Dame, a lot of things were outside the tackles. A lot of jet sweeps, a lot of jet sweeps, reverses, things like that. Things getting in outside zones, stretches, getting the running back and the skill players outside of the line of scrimmage or of the outside the box, just because I just don't think they move very well. I don't think their DNs are very athletic, as we've seen in years past. I forget there was a Purdue lineman back in the day. He played it last year, was 2021. I believe he went like second round or first round to the Chiefs.
Karloftis.
Yeah. So they've been super stout up front. And I think this year is one of the years where you're kind of like, they're not the same Purdue defense as we've seen in the past. Lost a couple pieces last year, especially on the back end. Has a decent safety, but on the back end, when I played him in 22, you had like two corners who are going to get drafted, a safety who's going to get drafted, a lineman who's going to get right. So like, it's just a different dynamic. I believe Kydron Jenkins, he's a good football player, but I think the position that they have him in probably isn't where he's going to play at the next level. Probably going to be some type of outside linebacker, particularly in a 3-4 defense. But that's what Purdue is choosing to do, probably because of lack of depth at linebacker. But it'll be interesting to see. I think Ja'Cory Barney will got to get a lot of opportunities. We've seen on some jet sweep stuff. I think we'll see a lot of that. If you watch the Oregon State game, they scored on a jet sweep. They got, plenty of explosive plays with that jet sweep motion and play call. So I think that would be a big key for this offense is stretching this defense, not only vertically, because I think they can be stretched. I don't think they, have that much speed on the back end, but I think horizontally as well, and gaining the edge and leverage on the outside. All right, we got Tommy Hill injury. He said it's a pain threshold thing. It's going to be based upon his pain levels, and dealing with injuries in my history. This is a tough one because it's not, and this is the plantar fasciitis, I believe it's called, or plantar something, right? It's the bottom of your foot. There's ligaments at the bottom of your foot. And I've dealt with it a little bit. I've had people who've missed a whole season because of this and had to get surgery. And, this was, one of the downfalls to an individual's career that I know, right? So this is a no joke injury. I know some people are like, well, what are you talking about? Like the bottom of his foot? Yeah, it's real stuff. It's just like turf toe, just like, a pulled groin. It's these little ligaments. It's these soft tissue injuries that are the hardest things for recovery because it just takes time. It's not a thing where, it's like you just got to get it massaged out. No, like there's ligaments in there that if they get overworked, they get stretched out. They're compensating for a lack of activation in another part of your body, and it just doesn't end up functioning the way it's supposed to, and there gets a lot of inflammation in there. Okay, so when I think about this Tommy Hill injury, I don't believe in my gut feeling, in my career and the way I've seen this injury unfold. I don't believe he'll be back this week. I think it's a thing where he's probably walking around in a boot, just to like literally get all the pain, all the inflammation out of there. He's probably walking around in the boot and not doing anything until he gets in the training room or weight room, whatever, right? I don't expect him to play, but we saw a bright spot with Sayer, right? We saw a bright spot. We saw him play really good football. We saw some interesting things. Well, I saw some interesting things. I'd love to share them with y'all. I saw Tony White kind of switched up the game plan. I don't know if he switched up the game plan, but it looked like it. It definitely looked like it. It looked like they went a little bit of cover two, kind of protecting Sayer, right? Because I could imagine that they had going into this game plan, they had Tommy Hill matched up on, Pat Bryant or Zachariah Franklin, number 4 and 13 from Illinois, because they trusted Tommy Hill in man-to-man situations. I'm not sure that moving forward, they would love to see, putting Sayer right out there to the field, meaning the long side of the field, and, letting him press and play man like they do with Tommy, right? I don't think that will be the case. I think now, Marquise Buford is the number 1 corner. And so they're going to put him in the tougher situations, I would say. I would love to see them maybe protecting Sayer, right, in a way, maybe pushing him to the boundary. I don't, there's some ways you can protect a corner, especially a young guy, especially a guy who maybe is thrown into a position or isn't comfortable playing man. I don't know Sayer Wright's skill set, but it looked like they were playing cover 2, and cover 2 simply is like you have a cloud corner, meaning the corner's playing in the flats, right? So he's got all the short routes. He's going to probably push the receiver, jam him, collision him, get him off track. And then, you have someone over top. You got the safety over top. And that kind of protects the corner, right? If you're playing super aggressive, then you'll just go man to man and have the corner playing middle high, right? Or single high safety. And we also saw them play a lot of quarters, which literally just means a corner has a quarter of the field, both safeties have a quarter of the field, and the other corner has a quarter of the field. And with that quarters, it's not like they were pressing and giving up a lot of deep balls. That's why you saw a bunch of out routes, and everyone was like, why are we not a lot of people had comments and on my YouTube, and I'm sure in the post game stuff they were talking about, why are we not, getting these flat routes, right? They're calling these flat routes, these out routes. They're just giving these things up. Well, it's kind of tough. Well, are you going to press and leave Sayer right in a compromised position? I don't know. I don't know if that's what their game plan was. Are we just going to give that up? They played a lot of quarters, which triggered, the safeties trigger in quarters. The safeties, Deshaun Singleton and who's our other safety? Isaac Gifford. They trigger in those type of, in Malcolm Hartzog, they trigger in type of run. When they see run in quarters, they trigger, right? So there's a lot of opportunities for Illinois to hit a lot of RPO, meaning run pass options. So they took away the run and they went with the pass option. Illinois did. So Sayer Wright, I believe, Coach Rhule said he's proved he's a starting level corner in the Big Ten. I think that now the question is, teams now are going to see, okay, he's, around 5'8", 5'9", 100 and maybe 60 pounds, 65 pounds, maybe 70, 75. It's going to be a situation where they're probably going to try to run to his side when he's inside the boundary. So there's a catch-22 with playing your quote unquote weaker corner. And this is no disrespect, but just as terms as reps and experience, if you play this Sayer right into the boundary, two things happen. You're able to cloud him. You're able to protect him with a safety over top, right? But the other thing that happens is teams like to run into the boundary. And guess what? And when teams run, that boundary receiver on the offense will go block the safety and leave the corner in the run, right? So if you leave Sayer right in the run, in your run fits and in the run scheme, he's a smaller guy. It'll be harder for him to tackle these big backs. Once we get into Big Ten play, I mean, Maccabees, he's a big back out of Purdue. So the little backs are behind us. We're not going to play, and we haven't been playing. You and I had a big back. Illinois had a huge. They're both over 235 pounds, right? So these big backs we're going to be facing. So putting Sayer right in the boundary does maybe cause some problems in the run game, but maybe protecting him in the pass might be the right thing to do. Rhule said it was a great week of preparation and self-evaluation by the players and the staff. That's what happens when you face adversity. And this was the question mark. What's going to happen? You go 3-0. The city's on fire. You beat Colorado. You and I. What's going to happen? And so we're seeing, and confirmation through Coach Rhule, confirmation through things I've heard, is that this team said, okay, we lost 3-0. Take accountability. We're going to go in, watch the film. We're going to see what I did wrong. Not what the team did, what I did wrong, because that's how you fix a program or a situation on a team where you lose, where you have a bad performance. You look at the tape and say, what do I do wrong? And now if all 11 guys or this 3-5 defense, you got 20 guys playing in a game. If all 20 guys who actually play watch the film with the intention and perspective of saying, hey, what did I do wrong? And I'm going to fix this so my team can get better. And and it sounds like they did that. And now you go out and put a good week of preparation together, because that's what happens on Saturday. You see the preparation. You don't really see, just Saturday. You see Monday watching film on Illinois, the walkthrough, the corrections. You see Tuesday, full pad day, our biggest install day, going over all, Notre Dame scored on this play. We're running it this week. We're doing all these different things. Wednesday, a little bit slimmed down, kind of a copycat day of Tuesday. Thursday, super mental day, super fast, but mental. And Friday, it's all mental. It's all mental. And then Saturday, you get the full product of all the week. So it's a response of adversity. Yes. So we'll get to see exactly what this team is about. Rhule also said can't be a great Big Ten team without winning on the road. And like I talked about, Purdue being a, not a crazy environment, morning game, they'll be able to, get back home. I'm sure game will probably go until about 3:00, 4:00. They'll get on the plane, by about 6. They'll get home about 7:30, 8, and be able to get some good night's sleep. So this is a great great atmosphere for a freshman quarterback. You know, you got a freshman left tackle. You know, you got a new corner starting. You know, you got a freshman. Is Cole a freshman kicker? Hole's a freshman kicker. Okay, so we got a good atmosphere for those people to perform well. And Purdue's no chump. Like, they not no chumps, right? But I think this Nebraska team is good. And I just got to pause right here, Bach. I got to pause right here because, and maybe we'll talk about this on the next segment. We'll probably talk about this on the next segment, but I'm confused on why people are jumping shifts so fast. Some people say, yeah, I think 5 wins now is the whatever. People said we're going undefeated and then went to 5 wins because we lost by a field goal. Oh my gosh. I mean, if that's what it takes for you to get off your course, and we could talk about life. I mean, I'm not going to do it. But if all it takes is, you know, a 3-score game, you know, an overtime game against a top 25 opponent, if that's all it takes, a loss there, if that's all it takes to get you off course and get you off the quote unquote bandwagon, it's amazing. So what's going to happen? My prediction, and we'll get to it. I'll finish these quotes in the next half. And then I want to talk about the possibility of Javen Wright being back. And I want to talk about where is Emmett Johnson in all caps. Where is Emmett Johnson? That really should have been the title of the show. Where is Emmett Johnson? But I want the people to understand, look, the bowl game is still in sight. We got to win 3 more games. 3 more. I mean, like, come on. Like, it doesn't matter who we're playing. All that matters is that we get better each week. So if we got Illinois, okay, we got better. Okay, now Purdue, stomp on them, get better. Indiana, stomp on them. Rutgers, stomp on them. Okay, Ohio State, you know, whatever it is, right? Get better each week. SC, UCLA, Wisconsin, Iowa, and we'll do it. And I'm sure people are going to look back and be like, why was I so worried? Because you have a freshman quarterback who's playing at elite level.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there in the first segment. Plenty more to talk about coming up next here on The Locker Room. We'll take a quick break and be right back after these few messages.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Sea-Doo dealership. Score up to $300 off or a free 2-year warranty on 2024 Sea-Doo Sparks and $500 off or a free 2-year warranty on all other brand new 2024 Sea-Doos. Rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of September. On or off-road, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of motorcycles and watercraft in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Nebraskans are proud of their public schools. Hi, I'm Tim Royers. As a Nebraska Teacher of the Year, I traveled across the state and saw the value public schools bring to our communities every day. They're where our kids get the skills and opportunities they need to succeed. They're where families come together to enjoy a musical, cheer for our teams, talk with teachers, and build trusted relationships. Strong public schools create strong communities.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G35609 must trade.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
Still using that old, outdated office phone system? You need better. At Hamilton, we offer solutions for the modern office. Whether you have an office full of staff or your employees work remotely and are on the go, seamless call handling is important. Elevate your communication and connect seamlessly with clients and staff with Hamilton Business Phone Systems. Choose better and hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Old School with DP and J.
And, this part of camp it happens in high school camp, when they have a certain amount of time before their game, before school starts and all that. And then it happens in college and it happens in the pros. I had more fights with some of my good friends, the guys that I'm considered lifelong friends at this point in camp, than with some over-energized rookie trying to make a name for himself. Seriously.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
You're listening to The Locker Room with Chancellor Brewington and Mikey Daniel on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, welcome back into The Locker Room. It's been a great day so far, breaking down some of Matt Rhule's press conference. I'm sure we'll continue to do that, as well as look a little bit into what Purdue has. And I can't wait for your thoughts, Chancellor, on Emmett Johnson. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so I got a couple more things from the presser. Coach Rhule said he would rephrase from last week and saying learning how to win. He would say learning how to play championship caliber football. That's a powerful quote right there. So he said fresh off the loss, he was saying we need to learn how to win. But now he's talking about how to play championship caliber football. So I think that's cool, man. You poke out your chest, right? You poke out your chest and say, no, one day we're going to be a championship caliber football team. That's what he said. We're not one day going to learn how to win, right? We're going to one day be a championship caliber football team. We got a couple things from the YouTube. William Durazo said jumping ship because we've seen this before for the last 9 years, Bach. And I understand this, but this is there's too many variables. And I'll touch on this for a second. I'll get back to the presser, but I'll touch on this and say you can't compare this year to last year. You can't, because too many things have changed. Too many players have left. There's too many things that have shifted. The culture is completely different. The offensive scheme is different from even last year. The defensive scheme, there's a lot of similarities, a couple of differences actually, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I think you can't, and especially this is the one thing I don't like. I don't like this. And I think the fans do way too much of this. And it kind of makes my blood boil just a tad. It's the fact that people go to Coach Rhule's, what he did at Baylor and Temple, and they'll go to year 2 and they'll say, okay, we expect to win 5 games because he won year 2, 5 games. The amount of variables that are different, that you got to understand. I believe football is a lot of numbers, but a win-loss, you can't compare those two. We have a phenom quarterback, a good defense, right? There's too many variables. I mean, what if that Temple team, right, should have won this, somebody got hurt. There's too many variables. So I don't like necessarily going back to Coach Rhule's, his last stops and saying, no, year 2 at Temple and year 2 at this is what to expect. I don't believe it's really like that, because guess what? If your Nebraska goes, 8-2, right? Or 9-3 or whatever it is, 9-4, and they go in the next year they go 10-2 or whatever it is, go to the college football playoffs, right? Then it throws everything out the window. So I don't believe that's a good reference point right there. Scott said, you're right, CB. I was amped for maybe 10-2 up to Illinois. Pretty much still there. Okay, he's still there with 10-2, Bach. Maybe at OSU, Ohio State, and maybe Iowa. Ooh, but they should be able to win the rest. Sip. Oh, he name dropped Sip. Oh my gosh, he said Sip 6-6 season. Sip said 6-6.
I'm not sure. I'm not putting those words in his mouth.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put it. I'm gonna have to talk to Sip when I see him for the on game day. But yeah, back to Coach Rhule. A couple final statements. He said Coach Rhule has 2 jobs. Put the best team out there, and also put each player's career first. And I think we're seeing that with the business decisions with Riley Van Poppel. There was in the presser, he was talking about right after the game, he was talking about Van Poppel, or I believe this was Monday, Van Poppel possibly he told him to go get his helmet on right when Illinois was driving. But I think understanding that success is in succession, right? And so in football terms, success is in how much success can I have this year, and it also translates to next year and next year and next year. Well, one of those things is preparing players to become their greatest self. And I think by doing that, you don't burn a red shirt just because it could help us in 10 to 12 plays right per game, because that's how many Van Poppel would possibly get playing behind Ty Robinson and Nash. So great job there. And he said, this is a direct quote, potentially this week, if not next week, referring to Javen Wright. This quote is about Javen Wright. Potentially this week, if not this week, next week. A lot of things have to come to pass for him to be able to play, but we'd sure love it. I love that kid. I would sure love it if he could play. So we're seeing, some type of optimism that possibly linebacker Javen Wright could come back. And Javen's a, good friend of mine, but he's also a really good football player, and he's a unique football player. And I want to touch on this for a quick second. Came in as a corner, right? Played college as a corner. Went to safety, got hurt at safety, went from safety to nickel. That's a whole different skill set. Was behind JoJo and Isaac Gifford, right? And then last year moved to linebacker. Had 55 tackles, 2 picks, and a forced fumble. Yes, I've memorized his stats. But had tied for the most takeaways on the team. And that wasn't even a starting role, right? So we know what type of player he is. Actually, we don't really know what type of player he is. We don't really know what type of player is. His ceiling is incredibly high. And I'm sure when he comes back, depending on what's going on with this and this, the protocol, but I would expect for there to be some type of, starting off, are you gonna just throw him in there, for a whole game? I'm sure he'll come back in a limited role. But what he adds something different to this defense that I think they need. As a linebacker, there's a lot of situations where you're put in, where you play, where if you have a Mekhi Bayer, right, you're probably not going to be able to put him on a tight end, right, because that's not his skill set. He's real good in run, real good in adding into blitzes, blowing up A gaps, attacking, pulling guards, really good with that. John Bullock is kind of one of those guys who is actually a really quick guy, moves real good laterally, a smart football player. But out of this linebacker core, we don't really have anyone who can play in the pass game. We don't have anyone who can play man on a tight end. We don't have anyone who I would trust to, be a true zone backer, and be real comfortable back there. And I think Javen provides all of those. Although, and he is and we can talk about his size. He's 6'5", 225 pounds, right? So this isn't a thing where, we have a smaller backer in there trying to fit balls over, and his wingspan. I mean, my gosh, he looks like a orangutan. Respectfully, that's what I call him. So you can't get mad at that for me. But anyways, his arm length, trying to be able to throw a dig route or some type of over route over top of him is nearly impossible. You would have to throw the most perfect pass, and even if then, you would have to take some speed off of it to let it drop in. What he adds to his defense is you can't really pinpoint it because he's such a unique player, has a unique skill set. A lot of backers don't have that type of skill set. He reminds me a lot of, in a way, I would say he reminds me of kind of the way Fred Warner plays, in the way he's able to run, he's able to play zone. Obviously, I think Fred is Fred is really good with his hands on the inside. I think Javen still needs to work on that, and he knows that. But yeah, so what is my question now for the listeners and for myself, and Bach, you can answer this as well. What is the key areas Nebraska needs to dominate, to gain momentum, to have a successful run in the Big Ten, starting with Purdue? So what key, do they need to come out here and establish the run, right? Do they need to come out here and Dylan Rhule needs to put on another show to confirm that he's able to play, Big Ten on the road, that consistency there? Is it a thing where, they have to establish, who they are on special teams? Is the key defense. And what I mean by the key defense, meaning the defensive standard, we have to, and I feel like fans need to see this. They need to see this Nebraska defense be Nebraska defense, because we haven't seen it for two weeks. And I think people are freaking out because the UNI week, although they let up 3 points, they also didn't play sound football. If me and Mikey talked about it, if UNI would have went back to, running the football and being, running things downhill, coming out off of that 10-minute, 8-second drive, in the first quarter, the game probably would have went a little different, right? And then you double that up with the Illinois. There's just not a whole bunch of, consistency with this defense. So to go out there and to throw maybe an egg, or if they throw an egg against Purdue, right? Or they throw, a 10-point game, they get in between their 13-point margin that they usually hold teams to. We're talking, we are now, everyone can take a Musa moment. A Musa meaning a deep breath. Everyone can inhale, exhale, and say, oh, okay, we're back, right? Going into a big Indiana game, right? So what key area for you do you want this Nebraska team to dominate in going into Purdue, which will then go into Big Ten play?
Yeah, I think this is pretty much my last game where I would have higher expectations for the running game. I'll say it that way. This is a team that gives up 300, against their Power 5 opponents anyways, giving up 300 plus yards on the ground. If Nebraska can't get it done this week and to a high level, 200 yards rushing, at least 160, kind of having a game where it's a big part of the game plan, then it kind of changes my idea of what this ground game has in its potentially, or just kind of what it is. Because at that point, you're 5 games through the season. We're halfway through the season. It's crazy how quickly that can happen, and you can get better. But this is partially because of how poor Purdue has defended the run. This has got to be the week that you step up and say, "Here's our 100-yard back. Here's our 2, maybe 3 backs." We'll talk about that later. Yeah. Guys that can get it done at the Big Ten level against one of the worst rush defenses in the league.
Yeah, I love that. You have to establish the run and say, okay. Last week and the week before that, last week was a fluke, and if you're Dante, you have to say that as well. You get 20 carries and only go for 72 yards. That I know Coach Mikey Daniels has talked about it. That's not the standard for that room. If you get 20 carries, you average 5 yards. That's over 100 yards, right? So I would expect to see a more polished game. It's so funny when I see people walk by here, they look at the mirror and they look at the glass, not knowing whatever. Anyways, but I would expect to see a more polished run game and a consistency. And I think having the run game, and I've been critical on Satterfield. I've been critical. because there was a lot of situations, in the first 3 weeks where I was like, why are we running that? It doesn't make sense, right? But now I see kind of where he's going, and I think he's kind of feeling out Dylan too. And we're seeing this, in real time. Like we're seeing like, okay, like Dylan really excels here. He excels when, he has a full, four read progression. Like he excels, he's not really a half field guy. He can do full field progressions, right? Like those type of things I think he's learning. And so if we add a run game, like you're talking about, Purdue's let up, 360 yards against Oregon State, right? If we can run the ball for if we can run the ball for 180 yards, if we can run the ball for 190 yards, 200 yards, if we don't have to run it for 300, we have a quarterback that can throw 350 yards a game. Dylan Rhule can easily do that. And so as a play caller, now if I can run the football, I have a good old line who can, I'll say average old line who can move the line of scrimmage, becoming a good old line. We have tight ends who can block, because a tight end who can block, oh my goodness. If a tight end can block, power and, counter and all these different things, it opens up the game as a play caller. So, and I think, and I'll go back and answer this question. My key would be the defense. I think we need to see a dominant performance by the defense. This is a test for this defense, because they pride themselves going into Illinois that they stopped the run, and UNI that they stopped the run. Haven't seen in the past 2 weeks. So now we get to see Purdue. They're not going to throw the ball. I mean, Purdue threw for I believe it was like 50 yards, right? So they're not going to if they throw the ball on us, I mean, now we'll talk about Sip's prediction with 6-6, right? If they throw for 200 yards, I'll come on this show and say, yeah, we might go 6-6, right? But now, okay, we take away the run, Purdue has nothing else. This is why the game could get out of hand, and I'm kind of around 3-score margin, 2-score margin. Tiger Shark Diver said, I don't like 3-down linemen, especially if you don't blitz. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. You got 8 in coverage. But anyways, the stat line, and how much time we got, Buck?
Oh, we should probably go to break pretty soon.
Let's go to break. And and when we come back, I'll be talking about my Dylan Rhule stat line. And in all caps, where is Emmett Johnson?
It's game on at L. Score up to $300 off or a free 2-year warranty on 2024 Sea-Doo Sparks, and $500 off or a free 2-year warranty on all other brand new 2024 Sea-Doos. Rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of September. On or off-road, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of motorcycles and watercraft in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Nebraskans are proud of their public schools. Hi, I'm Tim Royers. As a Nebraska Teacher of the Year, I traveled across the state and saw the value public schools bring to our communities every day. They're where our kids get the skills and opportunities they need to succeed. They're where families come together to enjoy a musical, cheer for our teams, talk with teachers, and build trusted relationships. Strong public schools create strong communities.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G35609 must trade.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So, if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
Still using that old, outdated office phone system? You need better. At Hamilton, we offer solutions for the modern office. Whether you have an office full of staff or your employees work remotely and are on the go, seamless call handling is important. Elevate your communication and connect seamlessly with clients and staff with Hamilton Business Phone Systems. Choose better and hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Old School with DP and J.
And, this part of camp it happens in high school camp, when they have a certain amount of time before their game, before school starts and all that. And then it happens in college and it happens in the pros. I had more fights with some of my good friends, the guys that I'm considered lifelong friends at this point in camp, than with some over-energized rookie trying to make a name for himself. Seriously.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to the locker room with Chancellor Brewington and Mikey Daniel on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here in the locker room, final segment on a Thursday. So we'll be back tomorrow to kind of preview the Purdue game, but we've got plenty more here in this final segment. Chancellor, I'll throw it to you.
Yes, sir. I'm Chancellor Brewington, former Nebraska tight end. You're listening to the locker room. We were just talking about Coach Rhule's statements and quotes from the presser. He talked about going into Purdue, the away atmosphere, Kydron Jenkins, the DN move to linebacker, Tommy Hill's injury, Sair Wright, starting level corner in the Big Ten. And I pulled up a quote about Javen Wright, and we talked about what he adds to this defense, the things he's able to provide. And we also talked about the key areas Nebraska needs to show and dominate going into the Big Ten, starting with this Purdue game. And now we're going to talk about the stat predictions or the stat line for Dylan Rhule. And so this is where it gets interesting, because this will be the first real test, I will say, because in a true sense of it's a real dominant, it should be a real dominant area in the run game, right? We should be able to dominate in the run game. Purdue, that's where they let up. They're not very skilled in the front seven, right? Although Purdue plays a bunch of quarters, which it's kind of interesting. Purdue plays a bunch of quarters, right? And in quarters, it's kind of the number one run stopping defense, right? So the fact that you play quarters and you still let up the run, it's kind of like it's a big red flag. So that being said, we run the football. Last week, I believe Dylan Rhule threw 35 attempts, and we ran the ball 35 attempts or 32 attempts. But if you subtract 5 of Dylan's sacks, or 2 of, I believe it was like 2 of Dylan's sacks, they counted as quote unquote runs. It kind of skewed the stat line. So, around 30 rushes, right? So we're sitting around 65 plays. So let's say we have 70 plays this weekend against Purdue. which I believe is probably going to get around there. Maybe 72, 75. That's pretty average. That's on the average end of an offensive game. If we have 70 plays, I think Dylan Rhule will probably get around third. It's tough. It's tough because let's say Dante, breaks one, right? So that takes away a lot of throws. Let's say Emmett Johnson breaks one, and we're going to talk about Emmett Johnson in a second to end the show off. Ramir Johnson breaks one. You just really don't know, Ja'Cory Barney breaks one, in a jet sweep. You don't really know how many passing attempts. So I'll go 30. Nah, I'll go 25. That sound about right? 25, 28.
Yeah.
I'll go 20.
That's what I was thinking, 28.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, we'll meet in the middle, 28. And I'll go 20. He's been so efficient throwing the ball, completion rate about around 72% right now. I would say 22. Nah, let's go 23. 23 for 28. And I'll say 2 of those are throwaways. And he's throwing the ball for 275 yards around there. I might even go higher. No, I'll go 275. I'll go 275. 2 touchdowns. No, 3 touchdowns. I'll go 3 touchdowns and no picks. QBR of around probably, that QBR is around probably 88 or 90, probably around the 92 mark. So I see a really efficient game by Dylan Rhule. And that leads me into my next point. And this is where we'll kind of wrap things up here in a second. But where is Emmett Johnson? And this is something I could stay on all week because I'm so frustrated by this. And I saw it coming. This is where I saw it coming. I saw it coming UNI game. I saw it coming UNI game because they gave Dante about 6 carries. You want to get him ready for Big Ten play. But we haven't seen a 20 carry back, right? I think he had like 17 against Colorado, but we haven't seen a 20 carry back yet. So I'm like, UNI is the perfect week to get ready for it. We end up playing our 2s, and now it kind of looks like the rhythm that Dante is running with is kind of a little off, and I think that just takes maybe a game. I think he'll be fine now, but it also kind of threw off the rhythm and the rotation of the other backs. Now you don't have a consistency with Ramir and Emmett. And this is something me and Mikey have talked about. I think my take is that first drive, Dante Dowdell gets first drive no matter what. Because I think he's your bruiser. If Dante pops, I'll say this. It's different if Dante pops off than if Emmett pops off. Because Emmett and Ramir can pop off at any time. Dante's a guy that kind of, is a bruiser. He needs to get his feel. He needs the more touches because he breaks down the defense. Emmett and Ramir are lightning in the bottle. They see a hole, they're off, right? So I think Dante gets first drive. Let's say Dante, 6 plays, 7 plays, runs the ball for 30, 40 yards, whatever, right? And I think Emmett Johnson gets second drive. And now the role with Ramir, I think Ramir is your guy, third down, right? You have a specialized pass for him. You have a screen for him. You have him, maybe he goes motions from the backfield, goes out to receiver, those type of things you do with Ramir. And I think Ramir is a guy when Dante gets tired, you put him in. And when Emmett gets tired, you put him in. So Ramir will get a bunch of carries. Ramir could end up, being the back that breaks, right? But I think you evaluate things moving into second half. And me and Mikey have talked about it. Now you play to win. So let's say Dante has the hot hand. He's already above 80 yards, 90 yards going into the second half. Okay, Dante got it today, right? Good evaluation. Okay, as a coaching staff, we're going to make a halftime adjustment. Dante's going to get the bulk of the carries. Emmett's going to be our guy in the hole, or on deck guy, and Ramir's, our specialized guy with our packages. Or let's say Ramir breaks it, and now Ramir takes we saw him take an outside zone against, I believe, Colorado to the crib. They got called back. He takes a jet sweep to the crib, whatever, right? He's doing a great job blocking in the pass catching game. Okay, now Ramir's are back moving forward. Dante's going to be on deck, and now Emmett is going to be the guy who comes in and comes in for guys who's tired and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the rotation moving forward that I would like to see. Obviously, I'm not a coach. Coach EJ and of course Satterfield, I would believe, kind of has the overseeing personnel decision making for the most part. But that wraps it up. That concludes the show. The Locker Room with Chancellor Brewington and Mikey Daniels, which is not here. We hope you have a blessed day and tune in tomorrow, 1 to 2 p.m.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Sea-Doo dealership. Score up to $300 off or a free 2-year warranty on 2024 Sea-Doo Sparks and $500 off or a free 2-year warranty on all other brand new 2024 Sea-Doos. Rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of September. On or off-road, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of motorcycles and watercraft in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Nebraskans are proud of their public schools. Hi, I'm Tim Royers. As a Nebraska Teacher of the Year, I traveled across the state and saw the value public schools bring to our communities every day. They're where our kids get the skills and opportunities they need to succeed. They're where families come together to enjoy a musical, cheer for our teams, talk with teachers, and build trusted relationships. Strong public schools create strong communities.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at